Paddy, what's it like to be back in the Boomers singlet somewhat unexpectedly?
Yeah, good. Just came back for my birthday, pretty much. So you guys can sing me happy birthday. Look, obviously it's I'm excited. I'm more than excited to be back with the boys. The situation isn't obviously ideal with Dante going down, but nonetheless, this decision was about the boys and the teammates. And what we've built, not only in the last few years with Dre, but what I've added to the culture since I first came in 2006. It's always been about the team and about the boys, so that was what the decision was based on. And I couldn't be more excited to come back and be a part of this campaign. So the only factor is my ability to play and health-wise. And once I passed all the physical testing, it was a no-brainer to jump on a plane and be back. But like I said, I'm more than excited and thrilled to be able to come home and play in front of a home crowd and help the boys hopefully get to Rio.
So Paddy, how are you physically and how many minutes, what kind of expectations do you have on how you'll be able to play?
Yeah, no, like I said, if I wasn't in position to play, then I don't think I'd be here. But full confidence in first of all, my shoulder and my conditioning ability at the moment. So we haven't really talked into nuts and bolts yet about minutes. But, I think regardless of, a couple of years missed on my behalf, my experience is what's going to trump learning plays and X's and O's and what type of shape I'm in is just effort and the ability to compete every possession. So I think if that's my focus throughout this week and the series, that's it, to be competitive every possession, offensively, defensively, and that trumps, most things.
How did you feel when originally you weren't going to be playing in this series?
Yeah, it's tough, whenever you get a chance to play for Australia and put on the green and gold, you can, the situation, with my shoulder was a tough one to know that last year, in the NBA season with the Spurs, probably not 100%, returning, and neither was I 100% when the season ended. So, the focus was to try and get my shoulder to 100%, as close as 100% as possible before the next NBA season, and especially for the Rio Olympics the following year. So that was the main focus, and that's what you learn when you grow up to be a professional player, is to understand your body, to understand your health, and that's the important thing. This is our tools, and we've got to look after it. So that's what I've grown up and learned from others.
Was there any hesitation at all on your part when you got the call?
No, because I understood that this was about my teammates and about the boys. If there was any hesitation, it was just my shoulder and the factor of playing and getting up and down. Other than that, it was a no-brainer. I always wanted to play for Australia, no matter what the circumstances. I love playing for Australia. I put up my hand whenever I can. So other than that, I'm more than thrilled to be here.
Hey, where were you, or what were you doing when you sort of got the call or the message from Andre saying SOS?
Back in the States, rehab was the biggest thing this off season to get my shoulder right. Built a training base in Los Angeles along with the Spurs and the people in LA to make sure that we took care of this, and we did, and it was great. It was a great few months there of making sure my shoulder got to, as I said, as close to 100% as possible, and that was it. I can safely say that my shoulder's come a long way in those last couple of months, and it was summer there, so not as cold as here in Melbourne either, so got my colour back a little bit, so all good.
What sort of a role are you expecting Paddy to play, and how do you sort of adjust fitting him into the rotation coming in at this late stage?
Yeah, and obviously that's part of this week and figuring out how all that fits in, but as Paddy's already alluded to, he's been with this group for an extended period of time. The guys are all really comfortable with him. He was with us 2 years ago in that Oceania campaign, and just talking to him today, he's like, oh yeah, the stuff came back pretty quickly. So I think it'll all fit in pretty comfortably, pretty quickly.
Andre, how many minutes, I know it's hard to say right at this point, but what kind of role do you see him playing, and how long do you see him playing on Saturday?
Yeah, we'll figure that out again as we go. Just as far as the transition into the group and how he's just feeling physically. So at this stage, there's sort of no expectation of a limitation, if you know what I mean.
How did he look today for you?
He looked good. Absolutely, he looked really good.
What kind of motivation or boost does it give to the team, or otherwise? We know that you really wanted a core group that would stick together and work as a team, so to have him in, is it upset the apple cart, or is it a positive to have a guy like him back in the team?
Yeah, it's again, just seeing him come into the room yesterday and connecting with his teammates again, you could tell that instantly there's a synergy and a respect and a camaraderie that comes with playing for the Australian national team, and I think that puts us in a good position to deal with whatever is thrown in front of us.
Was he immediately receptive, Andre? Did you have to talk him into it a little bit, or how was the conversation when you spoke to him?
No, very easy. It was great. Just as he alluded to, it was just, are you physically able to do it? And there was never a question about coming in to play for Australia. It was just as long as we got established that he was physically right, then yep, no problems, he was in.
There's a hell of a lot of excitement about this team. Obviously, we've seen our NBA boys do so well over the last couple of years. What's possible with the lineup that you've got here?
Yeah, well, we expect to go and do some great things, but we can't get ahead of ourselves right now. And I know, it's sort of the dull coach speaking here and ensuring we stay focused on our current goal. Everybody else is talking up the hype about next year's Olympics, but the reality is we're playing a very good team in New Zealand. We need to get focused on what we need to do to be the best team that we can be on Saturday, to give ourselves the best opportunity to win. And let's get through this first and then worry about what comes afterwards.
On Friday, you mentioned that you'd spoken to the Jazz to follow up with Dante. Have you had a chance to speak to the organisation or to Dante since then, and what's the latest with Dante? Yeah,
so I gave Dante a call, and he's obviously disappointed, but focused on the only thing he can be focused on now, and that's getting right. So they're just waiting for the swelling to come down. I don't understand the medical side of it, but apparently the swelling has to come down, then they can go in and operate, and then ACL recovery process is however long that takes. So again, really disappointing for him and gutted for him. Really hard to see him go through it. You get that sick feeling in your stomach. But as far as my conversation with him, I think his head is in the right place in terms of what he can do now is focus on recovery.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.